Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the First Exchange podcast with me, your host, Lydia Daydal. And I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today by the one and only professional boxing coach, Dave Coldwell.
How you doing?
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited
Thank
to be
you
here.
so much for being here. I know it's obviously Hopi's fight week, so I do appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
All the work's done. We've had a session this morning. It's just me and my little boy. My wife's gone to pick up my daughter from Leeds Fest. She's had her first festival, so I've got a bit of time this afternoon. So
how is that? Your daughter going to her first festival for dad? I know when I went to my first festival. Not say
on camera. No, do you know what? It's she's a sensible kid.
Yeah.
But then again, old dads think their 16-year-old daughters are sensible.
Yes.
But she sounds like she's had a good time.
Good.
That's the main thing.
That's
and
all
she's happy and safe, and everything's gone good. So yeah, it's a bit stressful because she's got all these festivals booked up. She's going to Park Life in a couple of weeks and things like that. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But I can't stop it, so I've got to get on the train rather than trying to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. All part of dad life, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, we said Hopi's fight week. We touched on it outside when we were just having a little chat. How fight week changes for you, or does it change? Does it get easier? Does the flow of things go a little bit better?
It's just, to be honest, it is just a flow. I've done that many as such. And then when you're training other fighters as well, it's just Hope comes in, does his little shakeout. All the hard work's done. His last hard session was Thursday. That was his last spar. And then he'd do a little bit of pads on Friday. Weekend off. And then again today and tomorrow. And then Tuesday, his last session. Wednesday, Thursday, rest. His weight will come down to the championship limit. And then he weighs in on the Friday evening, about 7 o'clock. We do a little shakeout. Nothing much, like literally 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and then that's it. It's good to go. So.
Good to go. And
it's just fight after fight. It's the same sort of process.
It's exciting though, isn't it? You know, I think boxing fans, when they look at, fight week and they know the fighter's been in a camp for a couple of weeks, and the process is the same. We have the media day, we have the weigh-ins, and we have everything, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about, and the emotional process, I suppose, of fighters mentally preparing themselves to get to that point where they get to fight night.
Yeah, and each fight is different. Some fighters are quite tense and intense, on fight week, and it's already the last spar, previous week, and then it comes to fight week and they're thinking about the fight straight away. Other fighters really chilled. Hope he is literally the coolest kid that I've ever met when it comes to things like that. Nothing ruffles him, nothing. He doesn't stress about anything. He's like, it's what I do. It's, I box every day of my life. So it's just another day, and so. And I think a lot of it's to do because he doesn't struggle with weight as well, so he hasn't got the weight making in his mind. Because a lot of fighters where they're struggling with weight, that's a big thing. That's a lot of the stress of fight week, because they can't wait for that weigh-in, because they've got to make that weight, and if they struggle, it's always touch and go. But when they're comfortable at weight, I think that takes a lot of the pressure away from them. So they can kind of almost like enjoy fight week. And generally, some fighters do enjoy fight week. So the first thing that Hope said when he walked into the gym, big smile on his face. I was just training Jordan, and he walked into the gym and beaming smile. I just looked at him and went, fight week. I love fight week, Dave. And that's what you want,
For you as a coach, because obviously you've been there, you've talked the talk, walked the walk yourself. Is it about learning how to sort of adjust to different characters and adjust to different personalities and cater to what each fighter needs?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, every individual is different. It's there are a lot of similarities with a lot of fighters, even down to twins, Gavin and Jane McDonnell, the twins. So you kind of think twins is both the same. No, mentalities are different. Even down to the physicalities of how the mechanics are. Jamie and Gavin are actually different, which is why they box in a different manner. But the personalities are also different. So whereas you'll have Gavin that would think about it all the time, and he was proper, meticulous on everything. Jamie was like, he didn't know anything about boxing. He wasn't interested in boxing. So that worked for him because if he was in a big fight, whereas somebody who is a student of the game knows exactly everything about this fighter, knows his strengths, knows how dangerous he is, knows that Jamie won't really care.
Yeah.
And that works for him because he wouldn't be thinking and worrying about what they're going to do to him.
Mm-hmm.
He would just be focused on what he's going to do to them or what he's going to try to do to them. So, different characters, different approaches work for different people, and there is no like one set rule. So as a coach, you have to know how each fighter works, which is why in some cases, when a fighter switches camps and they have that first fight, sometimes when people say, oh, he's not changed or this or that, I might as well stayed where he was. Sometimes, well, it takes a little bit of that gelling and then understanding and, new face in the corner and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So things do take a bit of time, and then they hit the patch where they know each other really well. They almost know, a relationship between a coach and his fighter a lot of times is your fighter doesn't have to speak.
Mm-hmm.
He walks in through the gym doors, and if there's something not right. If they're feeling a little bit tired, they're a bit jaded, if they've got a few stresses and strains in their mind, and you kind of know what kind of session you're going to get sometimes. So that's the kind of relationship that it is. It's a very psychological relationship.
Yes.
And an emotional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the physicalities of hitting some pads and go and do this circuit and do that bag session and things like that. There's a lot more on the mental side of things.
Absolutely. And that's one of the, I think for me, working in media and getting to be around fighters, to be around coaches, and getting to see the personalities but the relationships between them, it's so interesting. For me, people fascinate me, and how people operate in different things in the mind and mental strength and that whole world. And it is that key element of, do they gel? Do they understand each other? Is it that thing of they don't have to speak and they both understand each other? When you touch on, fighters changing camp and different things, it's such a big conversation in boxing or in fight sports. Yeah. And it's that thing of the pressure of when somebody does change camp and they have a first fight with a new coach or, whatever it is. And everyone is so quick to jump on that, oh, he hasn't done anything new, or, what's this new coach going to bring with them? And like you say, it's that having to gel, bond together.
There's a lot of pressure on everybody involved, but ultimately the main pressure lies with the fighter. Yeah. Because he's got one career. Mm-hmm. And he's got one shot at this. As a coach, you've got as many shots as you want. How many fighters do you want to train? How many years do you want to be as a coach? Mm-hmm. You can become a coach straight away as a young man, carry on until the day that you die. Please God, it's a long time. You're an old pensioner, but you're still involved, living in your 90s and still coaching fighters. If that's what you want to do, that's what you've got, that option. Yeah. A fighter's got a short window. He hits 30 and then people start talking about his best years are behind him, 32, and it's like, oh, he's coming towards the end. If you're 35 and you're still boxing, you're seen as an old man. Yeah. So the decisions that he makes, ultimately, that's his career. The decisions that he makes on who he has in his team are very, very important decisions. Yeah. So this is why if a fighter doesn't feel as though it's working for him with a coach, he has to change. Yes. Because he's not going to get the best out of himself. Mm-hmm. So case in point is me and Fowler. Mm-hmm. Me and Fowler are cool. We get on, we're sound. Right, as a kid, I know a lot of people don't like him. I like him. His heart's in the right place. As a fighter and a coach, we got on, but I couldn't get the best out of him. Yes. Right, and I don't get me wrong. As a kid, I like him, and you miss being around him on the day-to-day in them sort of terms. But as a fighter coach, I couldn't get the best out of him. So it's better that he left and found a coach where he can gel and he can get with and what's in him can come out, rather than just being. There's this thing. Don't get me wrong, loyalty is a big thing.
I was just about to say it.
Loyalty is a big thing, but if it's not working, it's not working. Yeah. You have got one career. So you have got to do what's best for you. Now that doesn't mean that just because somebody whispers in your ear and says, oh, why don't you do that? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you yourself, if you're not comfortable with what you're doing, if you just can't seem to be taking on board what the coaches want you to do, it's just not happening. It's not working.
Yeah.
That's where if there's no egos involved, that's where the coaches ain't going to understand and say, listen, I get it, no problem, 100%. If you don't, I'm disappointed, I'm gutted it didn't work, but it's the best thing for you. There you go, that's it. And that's why it doesn't have to be a bad split.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a bad split, because the coach has got to understand that the fighter's got one career. He can then just go and get another fighter if he wants to as a coach. And
I think with the boxing fans, it's when the conversation comes up, it's sort of, because the changes are made after a loss, or they're maybe made after not so much of a great performance, which would be natural because, you're in that situation, and then, okay, I don't feel like that the best of me was brought out. And so that conversation comes about of, oh, they're just jumping ship because they haven't got the win.
That's different.
So my question is, when you were the fighter in that situation, how do you navigate that? For you as the coach, what is the best course of action? Because sometimes maybe you can make rash decisions in the heat of a loss or different things. For you as a coach, would it be something where you would say to them, we've been working a long time together and we just don't seem to be getting the best out of one another?
So I don't agree with this as, everything's great while you're winning, you get beat all of a sudden and then that's it, change camp. I don't believe in that, because that is not addressing the real reason why you lost.
The issue,
because if it was working and everything was great before, then all of a sudden on one bad night, that's it, and then you're switching camps. That's different. That is different. I'm talking about where something's just not working.
Right.
Just not working. There were conversations with me too, and after fights, where I said to him, listen, you're not listening, you're not doing what I want you to do, you're not doing what we do. And it's not that he wasn't trying, it was, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work out for us. So that was a period. So when he actually texted me and says, can I come in earlier before the lads need to have a chat? Bear in mind, we're coming off of 2 wins. It's not straight after the Fitzgerald loss. I think we'd just beaten Brian Rose, maybe, the last fight. I can't remember. 2 fights, 2 wins. And then, but I knew straight away. And I just texted him. I went, so I rang him, actually. I rang him and I said, what's up? He went, no, I said, right. I went, no, because I knew straight away. I was like, what's the matter? I said, you're right. And he said, look, you just said, I don't feel happy. I don't feel as though it's working. I'm stuck in Sheffield, this, blah, blah. And I'm like, mate, I get it 100%. So it wasn't like a bolt out of blue, but I understood. And I said to him, that's what I said to him. I said, look, you've got one career. Great, no problem.
Do you have to separate Dave Coldwell, the coach, from Dave Coldwell, the person in these situations? When you come home out of the boxing gym, when you're with your wife or your family, do you kind of have to just put work?
No, you can't, because your phone's constantly going.
Yeah, it's consuming you, yeah.
And you are so I'll be sat here talking to you, but I'm still thinking about certain things that are going off with the fighters and things. It doesn't leave you. You just have to kind of like, you got a filing cabinet and you just store stuff and then you go back to it and you pick them out, and it's kind of like that. And it's like the way that I use my day is, I see it, there's 24 hours in a day. I don't need much sleep. So I will fit in my job as a coach, job as a manager, my being a dad, and being an husband, and then when everybody goes to bed, then I'll sit and I'll study the fights and the boxing. I like watching boxing like late till 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when I switch off usually. But I like to watch that. So at that time, so it's the last thing that goes into my mind. Everything that I'm watching, everything I'm studying, everything I'm working on, it's the last thing that goes to my mind, and it stays in my mind. That's how I find that it works best for me. And I've always done that, and that's how I get to fit everything else around me. But the other thing is I make a choice of not to train too many fighters, so I can fit my day as a life. I don't see myself as you're a professional boxing coach, or you're this. I don't define myself through my job. I define myself through my life.
Yeah.
And the most important thing in my life is my family.
Yeah.
It just so happens that the fighters that I coach, I see as family as well. And that's why, just because somebody's a good fighter or this and that, when I get asked to coach them, I tend to say no. Because it's only when I meet them. Every single kid that's with me now, I only said yes because eventually I agreed to meet them. And then when I've met them, I like them, get on with them, sound, and that's it. And they meet my kids and the sound, and I'm like, okay, sound, that's it. And I can't just coach somebody just because I spend that much time with them. Mentally, I spend that much time with them, even when they're not there. You can't do it as just a job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So people like to put labels on what you do for a living, what he does. That's their job. That's their job. Boxing coach, whatever. So as a boxing coach, I'm supposed to stay in the gym until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. No. I did that. I've done that. I've done that all my life. And then I got to a point where I weren't seeing... I never saw my son when he was a baby. And I was seeing my daughter to say goodnight to. Because she's in bed. Go up, give her a kiss goodnight. See ya. That's it. That's not my life. That's not a life that I want. So I chose then to walk away from coaching. And then Bellew came back, and I came back, but then I was like, okay, that's it. And then somebody like that. But I've said, like, as long as I will train as many fighters as I want, as long as my gym work is able to finish for 3 o'clock.
Right.
If I can finish for 3 o'clock, then I'm at home with the kids, whether they want me around or not.
Yeah.
But because I'm there if they need me.
Yes,
it's like
of
he'll be
course,
in his games room, whatever, and then he'll come in. Oh, do you fancy kick about? Do you fancy games? Whatever. But if they don't, then it don't matter. But I'm around. So whether people want to say that I'm not really a coach or what, because I don't live that way, that's entirely up to them. I'm not bothered. It's my life. It's like when I say about a fighter has one career. Well, we all have one life.
Yeah.
So I will do what I feel is gonna make me mentally happy, make the people around me happy, and for the people that I work with, where I can get the best out of it for the people that I work with. The people that I don't work with, it makes no difference. So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what I do because it's not affecting you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. What mind do you think you need to have to be a professional boxing coach? Like what kind of open?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because you're forever learning.
Yes.
Forever learning. It's and you have to be open because you have to adapt to different situations, adapt to and do you know what else as well? I'm not saying for everybody, you can't really have don't get me wrong, we've all got an ego, otherwise we won't be doing what we're doing in certain respects. Do you know what I mean? But you can't have an ego where if you're trying something and it's not working, you won't change it or adapt it, because different people are built different ways. And say, for instance, if you want to throw a left up a certain way, if you think your fighter should throw a left up a certain way, but it's not quite working for him, but if you just change it a little bit, and it nails, that's you being open to adapting a little bit. Okay, for him, he doesn't throw it the same way as that guy. He can throw it this way. Same with the jab, same whatever. Do you know what I mean? And so you have to be open in all sorts of aspects, all sorts of ways.
Did it take you a long time to learn that?
Not so much, because obviously with experience it comes, more comes. But yeah, it's a difficult question to answer because you're living it. You can't really, unless something dramatic happens, you don't realise, oh, that was when I realised this.
Yeah.
I think as I've got older, I've become more, perhaps, less ego involved. I've never had a massive ego, but when I'm talking about ego, I'm talking about pride. I'm talking about where you worry about what other people think. So you worried that if you get it wrong, oh, they're gonna think this. Oh, they're not gonna rate me. Yes. Oh, they're gonna say. So you kind of like, you stress about things that you don't need to stress about because you can't control what they think anyway.
Yes.
So they're going to think whatever. So why are you worrying about what they're going to think? You can't control it. So again, I can only say as I've got older, I've kind of got to a point where I really don't give a shit. I don't. As long as the people that walk through my doors feel that I'm doing something for them, I'm doing right for them, they choose to come to me, they choose to walk through that door every day. They're free to decide any day to say, Dave, it's not working, see ya. Everybody's free. There's no, there's no handcuffs or anything like that. So as long as they're happy and we're all enjoying working together, and I don't have an headache thinking, oh, I've got to train him today. I don't. I love my job. I love my job. So it's kind of like, what does it matter what other people think? Everyone's quick to write people off at the beginning, even before people have started. Oh, watch a kid make his debut. Oh, he's shit. He's never going to make anything. He's not ever going to do that. It's the start of a process.
Yes.
Anybody who's willing to work hard, anybody who's willing to learn and to develop and to put the work in, has got potential to do something. We've seen that so many times. We see fighters that you look at them on TV, you think, he don't look that good, but he's world champion.
Yeah.
So it must be doing something right. But also, if you don't look that good, and if you look through the careers in the early days, you think, I remember Carl Froch. Carl Froch boxed Charles Adamu. I watched that fight and I thought, he ain't being world champion. But there's been so many fighters and people like to say they're not going to do it, criticize them, this, but they're doing it. Yes. They're attempting to improve every day. So while ever they're going to do that, you don't know where people can end up until they decide to say, I've retired.
So, that mindset of, I don't care what people think, and just you're doing it. Don't worry about what the boxing fans, what the Twitter fans, whatever they're saying. I imagine it's hard, Dave, because this industry alone is brutal. Boxing is a brutal sport. It's an entertainment industry, and now with the inclusion of social media, everyone has an opinion. And after every boxing fight, yourself, you go to Twitter and there's opinions. Everyone's got an opinion. And it's like, sometimes I sit back and I go, God, it's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
It's brutal.
So it's not a case of, we're not robots, right? So it's like what I said to my fighters, and I said, even to my kids, you're not a robot. You can't just say, oh, I don't give a shit what you're saying. Right? But don't give too much of a shit that it affects your own train of thought.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, I think.
I always think about, a fighter has gotten a fight announced, they spent 8, 10, 12 weeks, whatever it is, getting to fight night. They fight their heart out. And then Twitter goes alight. They're shite. They can't fight. They can't do that. And it's like, until you have gotten a window into a fight camp and the blood, sweat, tears and emotional drainage that happens with a fighter, don't have an opinion. But then this is the sport. You know what I mean? This is the way it is.
This is the thing, is everybody's entitled to an opinion. And we're all the same, because we will watch and we will say the same thing. But there's a difference between giving an opinion and being a twat.
Yeah.
Right? It's complete.
And Barry from wherever, who sat in his couch with 6 cans, you just stop being a twat.
There's a different, that's different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't, when people get on this about saying, oh, if you haven't done it, then you shouldn't give an opinion. No, that's bullshit, because we have opinions on football, we have opinions.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You have an opinion on you walk into an house and you say, well, decorating's not being done right. Well, a professional decorator painted the house, but you think you can do a better job.
Yeah.
Everybody does that. Everybody has an opinion. That's not a problem. But what you don't do is, if you get go in and see this painter's done skateboards and he's done it, you don't start saying, oh, he's an absolute wanker, he's this, he's that. He just did a shit job, or he didn't do a great job. Do you know what I mean? But with Twitter and stuff like that, people get so violent personal, and it's like, you don't need to get violent personal. If you don't think they were that good, then fair enough. But you don't need to like dig them out horribly and start being, you know, it's like when they don't agree with your opinion, what you're saying, it's like it's like violent. You know, like the people fall out with people over opinions over people that they don't know. And it's like, just chill. So you can't like, I'm not saying you can ignore it and you don't give a shit, but what I'm saying is people's opinions, don't let it change your own opinion, your own mind of thought. And it's like what I say to my fighters, I say it to my kids, is if you see something, you can't ignore it. Every tweet you get, you can't ignore it. But you see it, you register it in your head, and you let it go. That's it. But that's whether it's good or bad, because all the good stuff, listen, it's 98% good. All the good stuff, if you let that get to your head, you'd be walking around thinking that you're a superstar and nothing's going to go wrong and you're going to win every fight and everything's going to be great. And because there are that many people that are wishing you well and saying you're doing a great job and things like that. But we don't hold on to that. But we hold on to that 2% where somebody says that you're shit, or where somebody says that, you know, you don't know what you're doing, this, or you're crap, blah, blah. And you hold on to that. And that's what we can't afford to do. Treat it the same way that you hold on to the nice comments. You know, just register it. Okay, cool. Then there it's go. Because you can't block it. Because if it's personal or something like that, then you're not going to just ignore it. It's going to register it, but don't hold on to it. Because when you hold on to it, that's when it affects you.
Have you seen success change people?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For the good or the bad?
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Both. I just think, you know, some people, as they get successful and you know, more financially comfortable, they should become happier. And the same people, but they're happier. Then you see some people where they just become twats.
Yeah, why is that? What do you think it is about the human psyche that when people get power, money, success, fame?
Because a lot of people see that money is power and success, but that doesn't equal happiness. I think you should chase happiness, not money. I think, and I just think that it's same as anything. It's same as everything, every single thing, every walk of life, whatever it is. There are people that you're always gonna like, and there are people that you're not gonna like, and there are people that you're always gonna agree with, and there's people you're not gonna agree with. It's the same. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just how it's human beings, isn't it?
Absolutely. How important is the team that's around you to help you navigate success? And
Very
you know,
important.
because especially in boxing, there is a very fast trajectory for certain boxers, and they go from A to Z very, very quickly. And you know, you listen to the guys who've gone before, you know, the former world champions who now look back in their careers and they can pinpoint where they went wrong. They can pinpoint, you know, what they shouldn't have done. They have regrets in some cases. They, you know, are wiser. And I always just sit back and think, God, it must be so difficult for new fighters to navigate if you don't have the right team around you, keeping you grounded, giving you good advice. Because I think everyone has an opinion. There's advice everywhere. And who do you listen to? You know, who do you trust?
Yeah, I think a team's very important that you have around you. But it's not just that, you know, families have an influence, and you can have good and bad family influences, friends, same good and bad. There's good and bad in absolutely everything. Good and bad opinions, advice. But you have to look at what's there in front of you. You have to also be realistic. So a lot of people, they'll have 3 white collar fights. Ring up and say, "Oh, what deal are you going to give me?" and see it, and it's like, oh, right, okay. without being rude,
Is this what we're doing here?
yeah, do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when somebody has that kind of attitude, you think, oh, this game is really, really hard. If you win amateur titles and you turn pro, it's still really, really hard. You know, there's going to be ups and downs all the way through your career, even if you're a big prospect.
Yeah.
There's ups and downs. Even if you've got big promotional backing, ups and downs. There's going to be a bit in your career where something just doesn't seem to be working and you seem to be stagnating. You're thinking, what's going off here? That's why you have to have kind of like a level-headed mentality.
Yeah.
And so if you're somebody that's not got that background,
Yeah.
you have to be realistic when you turn pro. You know, you have to be. And whereas for non-TV promoters, it's such a tough job for them guys. I used to be one of them guys. It's such a tough job because you haven't got the big budgets.
Yeah.
But the fighters want paying the best that they can get paid because they're fighting, and I don't knock that. But you're trying to, you know, you see it with people like Steffi and Steve Wood, and especially people like Steffi and myself when I would do it, Carl Greaves. You're managing fighters. You're only really promoting to keep fighters busy.
Yeah.
Because they're not fighters that the big promoters would want. So you're having to put on shows to keep them work. But you can't afford to keep losing money.
Yeah.
But the fighters, sometimes they won't see that and they'll think, well, I need to be working. But they have to kind of like balance that with where they are in the big scheme of things. Because if they won't have you, unless you're in against an opponent, you've got to kind of like help in terms of selling tickets and things like that. But then the fighters are like, well, not just fighters, but how it is, in an ideal world, it should be, well, fighters should be able to concentrate on fighting,
Yes.
not selling tickets.
Yeah.
But the problem is, in the real world, they have to sell tickets because otherwise the promoters can't afford to put the shows on. And then everything just grinds to a halt. It's so difficult. It's so difficult because it's either you're a big promoter, and even big promoters now are turning around. Obviously, we've had pandemic because it's been completely different. But even big promoters will turn around and say, well, you know, what sort of tickets are you going to do?
Yeah.
So when a big show comes to your local area, then you can pick up the phone and say, listen, I've got this kid that'll sell 200 tickets. Can I get a slot on your show? He might not be the best kid in your stable. Or the kid that you think, if you can get him backed, will get... But when you give the other kid, well, how much is he going to sell? Well, he can do a good 80 tickets. What? But this other kid can do 200. I just want this other, because he's not interested in him because he's never seen him box.
Yeah.
But he just wants the ticket sales.
Yeah.
So then that's how it works. When
Is that fair, or is that just the business?
No, but that's just the business how it is. It's like you go into your co-op or whatever, and something that a couple of years ago, a loaf of bread had cost you 50, 60p is now costing you £1. Is that fair? No. But what are you going to do? Not buy it?
Yeah.
Not eat it? That's your choice. You have to go. If you want it, you have to go along with it.
Yeah.
And it's just shit part of the business. Boxing is shit when it comes to a business. But it's kind of like, what do you do? Because the promoter that's not got a TV backing, that's his personal money. That's the money, you know what I mean? He'll be getting the money from his management fees, putting them back into the show that can keep that show going.
Yeah.
And then it still might lose money. And then he has to go home and explain to his wife that they've lost 8
grand.
I lost 3 grand tonight.
Yeah.
I lost 8 grand tonight.
Yeah. We're not going on holidays this year.
Grand.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hang on a minute. How many of them a year can you do before you have to stop?
Is there a solution?
Unfortunately, because the solution would be that, you know, when AJ boxes in front of 90,000 fans.
Yeah.
When Dillian White, Chisora sell out O2 at 20,000, right? If those people that, let's say the 80,000 that turn up at Wembley or whatever, if those people were actually, majority of them were actually fans of boxing, I think it'd be a lot easier, because then they'd look at they'd see on the Twitter, oh, there's a show around corner tonight with some good young prospects. Oh, we'll go along to that. Oh, it's only 30 quid a ticket. It's only 40 quid a ticket. We'll pop along to that.
Yeah.
But no, They don't do that because they're event, and I'm not knocking them, but
yeah.
they're event fans.
Yes.
So the events get the ticket sales, and the kid that all of a sudden he can only sell 50 tickets on his home show, and so he's earning absolute peanuts, buttons. All of a sudden, everybody's popping up and saying, "Oh, you're boxing on AJ." Oh, I'll buy. All of a sudden, they're selling like 200-300 tickets.
Yeah.
So those big ticket sales that they sell for the big events, if they would come and watch them for the small shows as well, then the problem's kind of like going away. It starts helping itself. Do you know what I mean? But it don't work like that because
it doesn't.
Because boxing's not as big as it's not. When it comes down to gates and things like that, it's hard work because it's got that much competition. People will gladly. Do you know how much it costs to go and watch a game of football?
Do you know what? I don't actually know.
It's unbelievable.
Mad money.
It's mad money. And so if you're going with your kid, it's costing you a fortune. And these people do this every week, right? And it's the cost of a boxing ticket is a fraction of that. And it's once in a while to support your mate or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've got competition. You've got boxing. You've got people's bills. You're coming out of COVID. You've got it's very, very, very difficult to convince somebody to part with the money to come and watch you box some foreign journeyman or something like that that they've never heard of. So which is why a lot of times pro debut they sell loads of tickets.
Yeah.
Next fight might be a little bit of a dip or along the same. And then after 2 or 3, if you're boxing guys that aren't trying to win, then your mate will turn around and say, let us know when you're in a big fight.
Yeah.
I'll come watch when you box for a title. Because they know they're going to get a real fight. But then does that make you have to rush your career? Because otherwise you're not selling tickets. So you have to kind of like rush your career into tougher fights or real fights a little bit earlier so you can sell tickets. So then you can attract the big promoters, but then you ain't got the experience for those fights and you time it wrong and then you get beat. And then when you get beat, by the way, your fight,
you've been found out.
your fight where you sold 200 tickets, the next one you're selling about 50.
Yes.
But that's the harsh reality. So that's why as well, a lot of kids or a lot of managers, a lot of promoters don't want to risk the kid that sells the big tickets because they know that his next fight is going to drop right down. Yeah. So it's kind of like,
It is that thing, and then boxing Twitter, he's been found out.
That's it,
he's shy, he's this, he's that, and it's like, come, give the kid a break. Like it's the start of his career.
Yeah.
You know, we're all learning here.
Yeah.
Why do you think we love boxing? What is it about?
Drama.
Is it the drama?
Everything. Well, it's just that. It's like the moaning, the bitching.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's the love, the passion, the ups, the downs. You just blend it, chuck it all in a blender, press the button, and it's just unique.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's got so many different characters, you know, and again, there are people that people hate, people love.
Yeah.
It's very rare that anybody that watches an interview or watch it, it's very rare that they just placid about and I don't have an opinion either way.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody's on TV, somebody's speaking, then people have always got an opinion on whether they agree with what they say or whether they don't agree with what they say. It is all right to disagree with people without hating them.
Yes.
It is all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel that a lot of people don't quite grasp that. But if you have an opinion and if you're willing to share it, then you know you're going to get a share. But again, that's all part of because end of the day, if you don't like it and if you can't put up with it, if you can't handle it, then you have a choice to go and do another job. And but it's the same as any job. I listen to people moaning about the jobs all the time. If you don't like it and if it makes you feel that shit, go and get another job. Yeah. And you can say, oh, well, there's not many jobs about this and that. But if you want a job, you will go and find another job, you know. But it might not be the job that you know, it might not pay as well. But then you have to make that decision. Yeah. If it pays better, but it's making you feel like shit, if you value and if you need that money more, then you'll put up with that shit. But just try and not let the shit get to you.
Yeah.
But we all have a choice, and it's like if if I don't like what I do and I'm too concerned about what the people think about me, then I would get another job. But I've been in it 31 years, and I hadn't thought about getting another job yet. So I must love it.
You must do. Would you say that you're obsessed with it? Do you have an obsession with boxing?
Yeah, because I can't switch off.
Yeah. Like you would have to to give this much of yourself still after 30 years. There has to be something there that sparks the flame.
But that's what I mean, is I love it, and that's why I love the sport.
Do you have goals? Do you feel like you have anything to prove within the sports?
Not. I don't care about proving anything to anyone anymore. What I wanted to do when I became a coach, I wanted to win British, European, Commonwealth, and world title fights. I did that.
Yeah.
And once I've done that, then the pressure, I swear to God, the pressure kind of like just came off my shoulders. I thought,
what is the feeling?
sound.
What is the feeling? Because
Brilliant.
we see fighters, right, that say, started their career, what's the goal? What's the dream? World title, 2 world titles, three weight world title.
Yeah.
When you get to the point where you achieve something you've set out to, is the feeling as you had thought it would be?
Yeah, better.
Is it?
Oh, it was for me.
Go on, tell us.
It was for me. It was for me.
Like, at what moment does it hit you?
I came. Oh, straight away.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I was. I used to be a real warrior. And I used to be a real stress head, and I think because I used to watch other coaches in British title fights and what have you, and I was like, I'd love that to be me one day.
Yeah.
I'd love that to be me one day. And I'm thinking, that'll never happen to me. And I remember once I was speaking to Spencer Fearon.
Yeah.
And I said to him, because I was not earning any money, you're training fighters and because not big names or anything, not in big fights. Back then, they were getting £800 for 4-rounders and stuff like that. And so I'd be driving up to Scotland and getting back at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be getting £80. And it'd just be like... And I remember saying to Spencer Fearon once, says, listen, I need to, I need to get a stabler journeyman. And he was like, no, man. I said, I do. I said, I need to start earning some money. I said, and then he talks a lot. He talks a lot of shit a lot of times, and a lot of people like to dig him out.
Yeah.
But he's got an heart of gold, and when it comes down to your mindset and stuff, he's switched on.
Yeah.
And he had a really good chat with me, and he kept, and I kind of I'll listen to you. I'll start being more positive about myself.
Yeah.
And I did. And then the funny thing is, when I stopped worrying about, as soon as I stopped worrying about what could go wrong, more things went right.
Yeah.
And it just snowballed. And then I remember, as you know, there was just a world title that obviously Bellew fighting at Goodison Park, and I remember that night. I remember when he won. Oh my God, best feeling ever.
Really?
Oh, it was just nuts. I genuinely lost my shit.
Really?
Just, when the split second that McCarby drops his head, I've just gone nuts. Lost it all. And I remember saying, my wife was there, and Goodison was empty then. We'd come out of the press conference, and there's a photo that we took with just the ring as it's being tucked down in the background, and just lights. And I remember just saying to her then, done everything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Done it. Pressure's off now.
Yeah.
And that was it. The pressure was off. And then obviously the hay fights were pressure in that terms. But if I didn't do anything again, then as far as I'm concerned, I was comfortable in my own skin to say I wanted to win title fights at everyone that I did, and I ticked the boxes. So I'm quite happy with that. But then my personality itself, I have different goals.
Yes. Yeah.
And so again, whereas when I started off coaching fighters at the beginning, a bit, oh, what are you going to win for? He's not going to do anything. He's shit. He does, blah, blah. So I always got people saying that it'd never happen. Well, it kind of did.
Yeah.
The same thing that I've got in my head now. I'm 46 now. I'm too old to worry about people thinking I'm shit. Because I'm in a, like, without being funny, I'm kind of like, once you hit in your 40s, I remember my best mate died at 41, and I always thought that, and I was young then, I was like probably about 30, maybe a bit younger, and I've always had that in my head. Once you get into your 40s, you start losing people start dying, things like that. So I'm now 46, so I look at myself and I think my main goal is to be around long enough to see my kids grow up. Yeah. So I'm too old to give a shit whether somebody thinks I can do something or not. Yeah. In a job, in what I choose to do to pay my bills, to support my family. I will make choices for my family and for me what are the best for them, not what Bill from Southampton or fucking whoever it is what thinks that I should be doing, or thinks that I shouldn't be in boxing because I'm shit, or I don't really give a shit, because once you get in your 40s, you could pop your clogs at any time.
Yeah, God, don't say that, Dave.
No, but that's what's always been in my head. Yeah. So I always think to myself, reason why I look after myself is I don't go out clubbing unless I'm with my missus. Yeah. I'm not in it for vanity's sake anymore. I used to be when you were younger. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you go on a bit of a mad one when you were younger?
No. That's but you train to look good, and you
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
No,
right.
It's not about training to look good. It's about training to be able to outrun my kid for as long as I can, and to train to be physically active, to be around my kids for as long as I can, and so your perception changes. So it's like I will make decisions for everything that I do, and I won't apologize for it. It's for the best of mine and my family's lives. So if that makes me selfish, a twat or whatever, I don't give a shit, because I'm in my 40s now, so I'm closer to 50 than I'm 40 at 46. So I'm quite comfortable in being able to say that, and I think that's what happens when you get when you start when you get older. I just think you become more conscious about what the true meanings are, and what you should be worried about.
So with that then, do you look at the kind of the sport when people are, new faces, and you see new faces getting caught up in the rides, and do you sit back and go, you idiot, you'll find out? Do you think, not even in your own time?
No, I don't think that, but I do have a little giggle, and I do think, I know what they're trying to do. They want to get the fast track to, people think that I've just popped up with Bellew. No, I didn't. Yeah. No, I didn't. I got my first gym in year 2000. I was training kids from 1996. I've done the journeyman route. I've done this house second, holding a spit bucket, fucking praying that they don't splash into me, right? And when they miss and they spit on you, it's like, what the fuck?
What am I doing?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I've done all that lot. So it's not been a shortcut, But anyone that can get a shortcut, fair play to them. Yeah. It doesn't affect my life. If it doesn't affect my life, then what do I care if somebody's popped up and they're smashing it? Good on them, because it's like, so if you've got kids, would you want your kid to struggle until he's 40, or her to struggle until she was 40 before she got a dream gig, before she cracked it and felt successful and felt comfortable in life and was smashing it and successful? Or would you hope that she nailed it earlier, or he nailed it earlier?
Well, if it's my own child, you definitely want them to nail it
But
earlier.
then
yeah,
because
100%.
that's what you would want from them to
Yeah.
do. Because, but would that, if you,
Well, I think for myself, I would want the hard route.
yeah, that's only because then you would appreciate
That's the thing.
what goes through.
Yeah, yeah.
But with each generation, if the parents have done well for themselves,
yeah,
so automatically, really, they're not going to let the kids go through the same
No.
struggle. So I grew up having absolutely nothing and being tormented because I was a little scrubber.
yeah,
And like looking at other kids, oh, I wish I had them. I wish I had that. And being the one that didn't. And that's fucking awful. It's brutal.
yeah,
So I don't spoil my kids,
yeah,
but would I, just because I want to make sure that they don't, they understand the value of money and things like that, so make them go to school looking like shit?
Yeah.
No.
Of
So
course, yeah.
the next generation is going to be better off than what you did, because you went through that hard shit.
Yeah.
So your kids don't have to. And so, but you have to, then that's what becomes more important, because you have to talk to them more
Yeah.
and educate them more, so they don't become spoiled. And they understand that money doesn't mean that you're a
Yeah.
better kid. Pair of trainers that you've got on don't mean that you're a better kid than that kid there that's got some cheap trainers. Do you know what I mean? You've got to educate them with that.
Yeah, of course.
But so when I look at other coaches or other people that popped up and doing this and then I think, good on them, because now they're learning on the job. That's just as hard.
yeah,
That's just as hard, because you've not got no experience of what, say for instance, I did or other coaches
Yeah.
did that came through like on the job sort of thing. You're kind of like, whoa, you're in that where that pressure's there, and they have to be able to cope with that pressure. So if they can cope with that pressure, well done. I just think fucking crack on.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand why people have to begrudge them and think, oh, it should have come up the hard way. Or why doesn't, what difference does it make to your life? If you're where you want to be now, after coming up through the hard way, then well done, you've cracked it. You be happy with your life. Him who's had a shortcut and is cracking it, that doesn't affect your life. Does that take money out of your bank account? Does that take food off your kid's plate? No, not really. And they've got to deal with their own sort of pressures and all, you know, their own shit, because they've kind of like come up the quicker route.
absolutely.
So I don't see that where people have to give the shit, you know.
100%. When you look back on the achieving the goals, do you think it could have happened to anyone else other than Tony Bellew? Or was it
No.
meant to be? Do you like?
So I don't believe in luck.
Okay.
And I don't
Do you believe we make our own luck?
Yeah, I believe that everything that we do is all because of decisions that we made.
Yes.
Everything, whether you made a good, a right, or a wrong decision, where you are right now, if you're in a good position, that wrong decision was part of the process.
Yes.
Because you've got different paths that you'll be going through choices that you made.
So do you not believe in destiny, or that you were meant to do this?
No.
Not at all.
No, I just think it's choices. People can say, "Oh, well, it was destiny. The reason why you didn't choose." No, but I chose not to.
Yeah.
I chose not to follow my friends and just go to a pub and drink beers.
Yeah.
I chose that every time I went out to a club, I drank water. I made those choices. I also chose that when I was sat like this at my grand's house, and I looked at a letter that I'd got that was saying that if I didn't pay this bill in 7 days, then they were going to start issuing bankruptcy proceedings. I almost packed in boxing then, because my gran looked at me and she said, "David, do you not think it's time?" No, she said to me, she says, "Do you think you're ever going to make money out of this game?" And I had a split second in my head. I thought, I need to go and get a job. And then as I went to answer, I just went, "Do you know what? No," I says, "I don't mind being skinned while I ain't got kids.
Yeah.
But by the time I've got kids, I'll have made money out of the game." And I stuck with it. I had a choice then to pack in then. That's the closest I've ever been to packing it.
Yeah.
That's the closest I've ever been to packing it.
What made you not pack it in? What was it?
Because I'm all in. I don't want a what if.
Yeah.
I hate the thought of what if. I hate it. My own boxing career, I always think to myself, because I never believe myself, I always think to myself, what if I believe myself? But I don't give a shit, because what I'm doing now, I'm happy. I'm happy. So I don't really actually care. So when people like pop up my record on Twitter and stuff and have banter about that, I don't care.
Yeah.
That was me as 20. I packed up at 25, I think it was. That was me in my 20s. That was me as a young kid. That's almost like a completely different person. Well, it is a completely different person. When I became a dad, I completely changed.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, I look at that. Yeah, I'm embarrassed by it. I don't rate what I did as a fighter at all. I rate what I did in the gym. I was wicked at gym, and my work ethic is second to none. Was second to none, still is. So I rate that. But what I did, I don't. So if somebody wants to say I was shit, I'll go, yeah, I were.
Yeah.
And
Does it embarrass you?
yeah.
Why is that?
Not. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed myself.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that I didn't know how to then. I didn't control my mind, and I let. So this is what I say about people speaking about you and saying around you. I let everybody else's opinions affect me. So I let my mother telling me that I'll never achieve anything affect me. I let the fact that I got bullied at school affect me. You know, people can do shit to you, but you choose whether it affects you or not. You choose how you deal with it. And people can turn around and say, oh no, you don't. That affects you. I went through it, so I can speak for me. I'm not saying I'm speaking for you.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm speaking for me. For me, I know I chose other people's opinions and other people to condition my mind to make me walk to the ring thinking, Dave, what the fuck you doing? You're going to get battered. That's how I'd walk to the ring. But then I flip it and I think to myself, actually, I'm quite proud of myself, because I used to be terrified walking to that ring. Not of the person in front of me. I'd be terrified of looking bad. I'd be terrified of looking an idiot in front of everybody. But even though I had that fear, I still went through with it. So I went through my fears. I went through it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a testament to your character.
So in that respect, that little bit, then I think, yeah, well, all right, I can give myself credit for that. But everything else, I look at it, I think, fucking hell. I fucked that up. Nobody else. But again, you only start understanding things like that when you go. So experience, you can't borrow it. You can't nick it. You can't buy it. You have to go through it. You can't pretend you've got it. You have to go through it. Whatever it is, to get experience, you have to go through shit. Whether it's good or bad experiences, you have to go through it. So then you can look back on it and think, this. Should have done that. Should have done this. Didn't do that. Then you know. If you haven't gone through it, you don't know. You don't know how you're going to react. People turn around and say, oh, this guy here, he just let that other guy slap him about. This, he should have stepped in. I'd have stepped in. I'd have done this. I'd have done it. Well, would you? You don't know until you're in that position.
Yeah.
No, everybody has an opinion of what they would do in that situation. Or if I were fighting him, I'd have stuck a jab on him. I'd have done this. I'd have jumped all over him. Just jumped. Would you? Or would the same thing have happened?
Yeah.
It's easy judging on outside. All you can speak about is what you know you've been through. They're facts.
Yeah.
What you know, how you reacted to things. They're facts. And as you get older, you go through a lot more different shit, and you start learning about yourself, and you know where you fucked up.
Yeah.
And you know how to switch your train of thought. And then the best thing is, this is why you don't have to be a shit up world champion, unbelievable fighter in order to get a couple of champions.
Yeah.
Because you know what not to do.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes just as important as knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And having gone through what to do. Or how can you turn out a world champion because you were never world champion? How many boxing coaches out there have had world title wins that weren't world champions?
Yeah.
There's a lot more than what were world champions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there's all different processes to it.
With that then, do you think it's important, whether or not the coach has been a fighter and has, achieved title status, but do you think it's important for coaches in boxing to have had that experience of being in the ring at least once or twice? Can you understand your fighter having not ever fought?
Right, so this is a difficult one, because there are boxing coaches out there that have not had a fight that have turned out champions.
Yeah.
I mean, great trainers. So that answers a question. But there is another dimension which they will never understand, which is how it actually feels when you're in there. How does it actually feel when you're wanting to do something, you're really trying to do something, but it's just not coming off. You're going back to corner and some geezer's telling you should be doing this, should be doing that, but it's just not coming off. They'll never understand that. They'll never understand that where in front of people, the pressure that's on that fighter that's in the ring, they'll never understand that unless they've done it.
Yeah.
So there's an understanding that they'll miss out on. But there's enough coaches, like I said, that are doing a great job, that are turning out great fighters that haven't got that experience, haven't done it themselves. So you can't turn around and say, oh, well, you need to have boxed.
Yeah.
You can't turn around and say that because there's a facts there in front of you of coaches that haven't boxed. And then, people turn around and say, oh, is this, is that, or is a PT instructor or whatever. It's easy just to throw quick insults at people to try and tarnish what they've achieved. But if they've achieved shit, they've got to be doing something right.
Yeah.
They're
on your TV screens.
They've got to be doing
there's
something right.
there.
And the thing is, going back to like people that have done shortcuts, or if you think they've had a shortcut, if they've cracked it in half the time what you've done,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Sometimes it's about being at the right time in the right place. But there were decisions that were made that ended up being in that spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funny how it works. It really is. It's like, even daft things like you said to a fighter, oh, I think you should go to that show. Just go. You never know who's there, and just get in an environment. Oh yeah, I can't bother. I'm tired. I'm this. Oh yeah, no, just go. You'll be all right. I'll be switch off. They go to the show. They end up chatting to somebody, and it's somebody that's got his own business and he's a fucking sponsor now.
Yeah.
If you haven't made that decision to go because you couldn't be bothered to go, oh, what do I want to go for? What do I need to do that for? Just take yourself out of your way, and they've gone. They've ended up got a sponsor. And that little thing there might make a big difference pressure-wise, and all of a sudden they can train with a bit more freedom.
Yeah.
But it all came from a decision. So many different things in boxing where your decisions will lead to great things.
Yeah.
Or your decisions will lead to shit things. And that's why I'm saying I don't believe in luck. Oh, we're lucky that we're at that show tonight because I met him. No, you chose to go there.
Yeah. It's I mean, you could talk about it for forever, couldn't you? The different, and I think what you touched on earlier on as well about, there's so many different personalities, so many different characters, so many people all trying to come together to achieve ultimately the same thing, but all taking different courses, making different choices, and that is the beauty of it, the drama of it.
It is. It's what is it? Triple G, big drama show. That's what it is, isn't it?
We're coming to the end of our podcast, but I always ask this question, and it's, how would you like to be remembered?
Just try my best. Just try my best in boxing terms. Just try my best. I weren't particularly very good, but I tried my best. That was it.
Would you instill that same, or that thought process into your own kids? Just do your best.
No, I do with my kids.
Because I just met your son Theo. I mean, he's even just meeting him for that couple of minutes. He's special.
Yeah, he's a good
his
kid.
Confidence, how he speaks. you know, and he's just a lovely, humble kid.
He's a very good kid, a lovely
just
kid.
wants to do well, and has all, you can see it in his eyes. He's all these goals and dreams that he
But
just wants to.
He's got great influences around him.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not talking about me. Obviously, I'm always talking to him, but he comes to the gym. He's close with Jordan. He's close with Hope. Now LeRon as well.
Yeah.
Loves Derek to bits. Bellew when he was there, you know, but Jordan and Hope are young kids. Yeah. Especially Hope. I take him on training camps, and he's been to Dubai with him. He's been to LA with him on training camps, been at Wildcard and things like that. He doesn't box, but he comes and he'll just get on with it. He'll box. He'll train while I'm training fighters, and then I'll take him on pads after. But he just spends time around them. They're young kids that didn't just follow the pack. Yeah. When it's easy to do what your friends are doing, they took themselves away, and look at where they are now. He sees that. Yeah. So he isn't swayed by what his friends are doing, or should he be doing this, should he be... He'll, you know, his friends, whether they want to eat McDonald's and stuff like that, he won't. Yeah, he treats it, you know, after he's played matches and stuff like that. He makes those decisions about his food and things like that already. You know, I was saying to you, he listens to podcasts on successful people and things, but then he still watches his cartoons. He has his cuddly toys. He's still a 10-year-old boy. Do you know what I mean? But he has this flip side to him where he's very, very competitive, and where he wants to be at best, whether it's maths, English, football. Yeah, he wants to be the best. And so I said to my daughter, don't ever let anybody tell you can't. You know, if you want to be the best, why can't you be if you're willing to work hard? As long as you're willing to work harder than anybody else, and as long as you're a nice person, I'll be happy. That's all I want them to do. And the thing is if you're willing to work harder than anybody else, why can't you be the best? Yeah. I love it when people say to a kid, whether it's boxing, whether it's football, I say those two because I've seen kids in both sports where, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or teacher turns around and says, you know, oh, I want to be a footballer, mate. Or I want to be a boxer. I want to be a world champion. And they turn around, oh, make sure you focus on your schoolwork, because you're not really going to do that. That's not much. Why? Because somebody's got to be the best. We all look at it and we say, oh, he's the best. Somebody's got to be best. Yeah. You know? So why can't your kid be best if he's willing to put it in? You know? There's people like to from a young age tell people that they can't do something. Fall back on your schoolwork. Make sure you do your schoolwork, because you know you need something to fall back on. Why? Because how many kids passing the exams and got all these degrees and shit, and they can't get a job? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just you are allowed to do both. You are allowed to be great at sports and do your GCSEs. Absolutely. And things like that.
And why is it that as adults we can always remember somebody tell us,
but that's what it
or
is.
Comment in some way, you know, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a parent, or somebody like a family member that says, okay, you know, I know it was with me because I done music before I done this, and I remember always telling people, you know, I'm going to be a singer, I'm going to be a famous singer, and have people say, oh, well, you can't be, but you'll have to get a real job. You know, and I remember at a young age being like, but that will be my job, you know.
But what happens is that puts the doubt into a young mind where they're a bit hesitant into go full throttle.
Yes.
So everybody that's successful, whatever it is they do, have gone full throttle.
Yeah. So do you not believe in plan B? No plan B.
Give plan A everything you've got.
Yeah. Yes.
You can, but what I'm saying to you is there are 24 hours in a day, right? If you're at school, you're at school. You're not at school playing football. You're not at school boxing. You're at school. So for those 6 hours a day or whatever, give it everything you got. Then if you're at the gym for a couple of hours, whether you're an adult or a kid, if you're going to walk through the door at the gym for a couple of hours, give it everything you've got. Why can't you give everything you got in both things? But people, when they're talking to kids, it seems as though they like to put doubts into the kid's mind. Don't go full throttle like that, because you're not really going to do it. It's cute that you want to do that, but you're not really going to do it. But somebody else's kid did, because they went full throttle at it. So why can't your kid? But it's because of insecurities, because maybe they didn't chase their dreams.
Yes, that is it. That is it. That they didn't.
That they think that
they did
nobody else
not
can do
chase
it.
their dreams. Yeah.
But
They don't have the vision, right?
If you speak to majority of people that are successful or happy, they went full throttle.
Yeah.
At whatever it is that they did that made them happy. So why not go full throttle? Because you don't know where you're going to end up.
Absolutely. What a perfect note to leave our podcast on. Dave Coldwell, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, I've enjoyed it.
I was going to ask, did you have a good time?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
It's good when you're in here. It's like a little vibe,
different.
right? Yeah.
It's different to doing it on a Zoom or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
God, I want Zooms to go.
Yeah, it's good.
Death to all Zoom interviews. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we see you again soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
That is David Coldwell for the First Exchange podcast.